Father Biodu Fatoyibo raped Mrs. Busola Dakolo. The Christian church is not waiting for either for a man or God to be the judge. It chose to be the judge in its own case, and its predictable conclusion is that Fatoyibo is innocent of all charges. It ruled that he's merely a victim of satanic campaign of calumny fueled by envy and sheer jealousy, as well as a declaration of war against the Church of Christ, to which Koza is a flourishing branch under God's grace. As usual in such cases, Satan is the fall guy. Perhaps sensing that its judgment will not be the last word, Koza appealed to the Supreme Judge, expressing confidence that our faithful and unfailing God will vindicate him very soon. It went on about Fatoyibo there. It says, if a politician proclaims that he was born purposely to be president of Nigeria, who am I, a mere sinner, to say it is a lie? Even if historically and in truth we know Buhari was no Moses that took us out of the land of Egypt and across the Red Seas towards the promised land, who am I to say Pastor Bakare is once again lying? He had in January 1st, 2018, during his watch night prophetic proclamations on what will happen that year, claimed that God had instructed him to run for presidency. In my study around 4 a.m. on Sunday morning, God told me, you cannot bring your political career to a close. There's still more to do. Run for the presidency. I will do it at the appointed time, he added. I would have advised Bakare to save us from the noise of his proclamations, but Nigeria is a country of anything goes. So I fear Bakare may one day become president and I will be retroactively accused of insulting the president and charged with treasonable felony. Well, the caption here is that Islamization, Christian seers, and hapless Nigerians. And he started this by saying there have been claims and counterclaims over the years of alleged moves to Islamize the country. Ironically, some Muslims in the western part of the country also believe this. The rise of Boko Haram, when it initially turned churches into ruins, was seen as proof. But soon it became clear that Boko Haram terrorists were out to destroy all churches and mosques that do not belong to them. They attacked Muslims, then those who loudly wailed the war against Boko Haram was the guys to wipe out Muslims, joined the war in Nigeria. Well, he went on to talk about how each side has thrown us here, and pretty much Nigerians remain hapless in the midst of the two religions and whatever theories being thrown up from each side.
Well, what I grab from there is that there are signs of Islamizing Nigeria. And even as we've been talking about it here, I have severally maintained that, yes, there could be signs of that because a lot of them exist though. But then I do not think they are official because it will be an impossibility that Nigeria will be Islamized. Even if Iran likes, let it co-opt Iraq and all the rest of them, they come and fight the war. There are still the independent minds here in Nigeria who will never accept to be Islamic people if that is not their own belief. So I believe whatever anybody is doing, because when you are talking about Iran, remember there are also foreign nations that support some other section of the religious divide in Nigeria. They won't also fold their hands and then allow Iran to come and pillage Nigeria because it wants Nigeria to become Islamic. But one thing I know is that officially, Nigeria can never be Islamized.
All right, then what do you think here?
I think...
remember, it's not just about Islamization. You're looking at how all the religions seem to keep dragging Nigerians in one way or the other, because the caption there is hapless Nigerians. Don't forget that. So in your thoughts, let me get what you've picked out from this. Let me hear your thoughts.
Well, I think there are factors indicating that, these things are, beginning to happen. And there are machineries that are being used by the, foreign actors. And so far, within the disposals that Nigeria, within the corridor of presidency, I think that they have their information, they have informations at their disposal. They sometimes don't pay for these informations. It comes at their disposal. And I'm thinking that with the expertise within the security apparatus of Nigeria, I think that, His Excellency may have, deemed it fit to have, cross-examine most of the information given to him. But so far we have seen the activities of Iran here in Nigeria and how they have been supporting the activities of the ex-Azakis and all the rest. So I think that these are the recipes at which Nigeria may have come in to say that there are factors, showing that, indicating that they want to Islamize Nigeria. But like Chief Ima said, it will be very enigmatic because Nigeria has a mixed kind of religion. We have the Christian religion, we have the pagan religion, we have several religions domiciled here in Nigeria. So it will be very difficult. But I think we haven't seen that there are indicators. All we need to do is not just to, raise observation or objection, but all we need to do is to start working on these things, because we have seen it happen in Turkey. We have seen it happen in several countries where several religions were moving, but over sometimes, they were dissipated because of, other factors that came to be. So not just, having these observations, but we must work towards the observation so that it doesn't come to stay.
All right, we got your thoughts there. Over to you now, Obidima.
Well, it's a truism that Nigeria is peopled mainly by two dominant religious groups, Christianity and Islam. The approach of one is persuasive. The approach of the other is a kind of coercive, pushing that, trying to push it, that people must accept their own way of belief. And that is where the conflict comes. Where that Nigeria can be Islamized, yes or no? Yes, if the Christians or the religious group sit on the fence, put a donkey attitude towards it. It's a process. It is not something that comes now and ends now. It's a process. Like what we are saying, the past 4 years, where key positions are manned by a particular set of people in the country and from a particular religion. So it's a process from the executive to the parliament to the judiciary. Who are those heading these three major arms of government? They are Muslims. And it is enough to create a conflict when you begin to deviate from the secularity of Nigerian state. It is also known because of the heterogeneous nature of Nigerian state. In the south, it's majorly Christians, but with different tribes. In the north, they are predominantly Muslim, but with different ethnic groups. So in that, it makes it a bit difficult. But the only thing in trying to push it is creating the kind of conflict that bringing tension that is also affecting the economy and affecting every other aspect of our life. What is happening in Benue? What is happening in Plateau? Where these herdsmen are conquered and they appropriated people's land, and these people are still in IDP up to now, while these other people have occupied their communities and while pushing for settlement. And the government is looking the other way, as if the original people in that land are no more the owners of that land.
All right.
And they are wallowing in IDP camps. What have they done? So these are the things you see that can make somebody believe that, yes, there is an Islamization agenda. Leave IS Zaki and Iran. I don't think that IS Zaki and Iran can, come to Nigeria, and it's those that are in power that we should be focusing, not IS Zaki and Iran.
We got your thoughts on that. Let's move on to another. God has withdrawn his protection from our enemies. Oshibaja is the one speaking there. And he said, as Nigeria celebrates the 59th anniversary of independence on Tuesday, Vice President Yemi Oshibajo has asked citizens to have faith in the country, saying God has withdrawn his protection of his protective cover from the enemies of the nation. Speaking at an interdenominational service to commemorate the anniversary on Sunday evening in Abuja, Oshibajo said the turbulence and upheavals that Nigeria currently experiences are the last gasps of defeated foes. He said God has promised through the mouth of his trusted prophet that he has given us a new Nigeria. May I announce to you today that God is ready to take us to that promised land. We must remember that Almighty God is the builder of the nation. God controls the destiny of the nations and their people. He narrated how God had promised to take children of Israel out of bondage, suffering, and slavery and bring them into the promised land flowing with milk and honey. By the hands of Joshua, God brought the promise to pass. He noted, however, that some who were asked to spy the land came back to declare that it was impossible to take the land because the giants were there. They said it was impossible to take the land. The problems were gigantic. The issues were too many. However, Caleb and Joshua had a different spirit. They said that because God had promised and because he could do it, the problem was just bread, mere bread to be eaten by the children of Israel. God has also promised to us a new Nigeria, a peaceful Nigeria, a prosperous Nigeria, a Nigeria where justice, equity, and fairness shall prevail, a united Nigeria where the different tribes and tongues are not the reason for separation, but joyful textures of our togetherness. God is ready to fulfill his promise.
Well, I don't know when God made a promise to Nigerians. I don't also know the prophet of God that he spoke through. But all I know is that the people of any nation, Nigeria is not the only nation that has diverse ethnic groups. If the people in the country work together and have one mind of working together to realize the good things of life in the same country, that is when it can happen. But if anybody anywhere believes that God has spoken, there's going to be unity and this and that, and you continue in bringing in the divisive tendencies to be on the country, well, in the end, you'll find out that God has no mouth there because you have created the problem you are suffering.
All right, we got your thoughts there. Let me just quickly introduce Chief Lovedale Kerry, the socio-political analyst and community leader. Good to have you.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right, let's get your thoughts on this here.
I'm happy that these days God has started revealing its intentions and good intention for Nigeria and Nigerians. Recently, God spoke through Pastor Bakare and told him that he will be a president. He will be the president of Nigeria. Now, God has also spoken through Osibanjo that Osibanjo have seen that God has withdrawn his support to the enemies of Nigeria. Well, who are the enemies of Nigeria as quoted by the vice president? I think the enemies of Nigeria we know today are those that are in authorities who are supposed to distribute our resources to better the lot of Nigerians that are doing it the other way around in form of corruption. So they are the greatest enemies of Nigeria today before we begin to look at all these bandits, criminals here and there. So for me, looking at what he has read and what he has said, it's very interesting to hear it. But I wish that the way the Bitacola is sounding is also the way it's going to
be sweet.
Be sweet in the mouth. So, well, let's watch and see if those prophecies will come to pass.
All right. What did you mean?
I think I don't believe in this satire, political satires, because so far, most of our leaders are now alluding to Bible, and I don't see Nigeria to have started practicing theocracy. But if we have ventured in of recent, better, we can replace it with democracy. But so far, I've not seen any prophet within the leadership cadre, right from the democratic dispensation right to this time, because I think this time calls for sober reflection. Our leaders have to be pragmatic in all facets. We need to work and realize that, yes, we are, and when we are given the position of leadership, it is a clarion call, and that we must understand that we are servants to the electorate, servants to the people. So until we begin to recognize these factors, every other biblical allusion may not come to, place. And as I speak, the centers cannot even hold, even though we have all the biblical versions. The last time I checked, I know the vice president is a theologian. So he knows, from Genesis to Revelations. But that is not enough. Even if you read the Quran, from the Genesis down to the last, what we need in Nigeria is to face the reality. God has given us leadership. How do we take it to the man in the rural area? What are the lessons to learn, under 59 years? So I think that we are tired of quotations. Bakari had his own dream, and he has been one of the best economists. And in the Senate line, we have seen people dish out their knowledge, send their wisdom to the government of the day, and you see it, yield fruit. So I think that it's a clarion call, but it also calls for people that are, even without in the position of authority to, share their wisdoms to better the lot of Nigeria economy. Nigeria has gone into recession twice. We have the likes of Bakari, who knows the length and breadth of Bible.
Okay.
So I think that if we are going into theocracy, it's a welcome development.
All right. Okay, let's move on now. Let's get your thoughts on that, Chief Lovely.
No.
Sorry. Obidima.
I'm just coming.
I know. My mind was I'll call you
It's
that.
the absence of coffee.
Go ahead. For you or who? Do you know that I've had coffee? I don't know.
You better apply so I get coffee.
No, and it's just to.
Did I say that you want to
I
take
have
a
my-
cup of life.
I have my coffee before both of you come in now on
And
Monday.
I'm angry. You didn't give
Because
it for us.
I know people come here with your straw.
Well,
Obidima, go ahead.
the point there is that who is the enemy that Sibanja is talking about? He did not identify the enemy,
The enemies of Nigeria.
the enemies.
The looters.
Well, even we don't know whether they are the ones that are stealing our common wealth. We don't know whether the enemies that God had removed his protection from are those who have stripped him of his functions. We don't know the enemies, whether those who have deceived Nigerians.
Whose functions have they strength?
uh,
Whose functions?
what is going through presently in the presidency, whether we don't know whether they are the enemy. Now he's talking like a pastor, not like
Yes,
a
but
politician.
remember he's at the church. So he will speak as a pastor.
No, but not as a.
He will speak as a pastor because he's in a church.
Even before, in a church.
This is no, and in
a
churches,
he also
in the
he
church.
speak like a politician.
No, I don't know which one you hear, but in the church, he's
I do.
always in the church. He's always sounding like this. He's always referring to scriptures.
And I want to say this.
And you're supposed to be a pastor.
I
I know
want to-
you've expunged it.
I want to-
I know you've expunged it for what you usually write up now.
I want to
But
say
use
this.
your church mind now.
I want to say this. He's not talking as a man of God. We love that. And they should maintain it. So, the enemies of Nigerians, let them be properly identified and dealt with. It's not God saying that God had removed his protection from them. In other words, they are now vulnerable. They're exposed to anything at all, even the state apparatus holding them down. So what we want to do is to suggest to his principal that God has removed his protection from the enemies of Nigeria. He should go after them. Whether they are within the presidency now, whether they are within his cabinet now, or even the past ones, he should go after them, that these are the enemies of Nigerians. Like what Lawrence did in Ghana. Then we will now know that God has really
All right then.
removed
Okay.
his protection from the enemies of Nigeria.
All right then. Nigeria at 59. We have not fared badly. Akeredolu is the one speaking. Governor Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State took a critical look at Nigeria at 59 years of independence and gave a pass mark on the APC-led federal and state government despite the challenges being faced in the country. Akeredolu, who was represented by his deputy at a church service to mark Nigeria's 59th anniversary, thanked God for keeping Nigeria one so far, despite numerous challenges, saying the unity of the country is the greatest achievement of the government. In spite of the challenges we have faced as a people, it has pleased God to allow us remain one indivisible entity. That story is in the Vanguard. I'm just going to run through them now. One will come back, or perhaps address one or two, but because of timing, I won't be able to ask for your interaction on that. We also have Serap urges Buhari to implement report on financial autonomy for judiciary, socio-economic rights and accountability project. Serap has sent an open letter to President Muhammadu Buhari urging him to use his good offices and leadership position to urgently publish and fully implement the recommendation of the report on financial autonomy of the state legislature and judiciary submitted to him in June 2019. Serap said it in the context of growing attack on the country's judiciary by the authorities and politicians. The full implementation of the report will contribute to improving judicial independence and respect for constitutional principles of separation of powers and systems of checks and balances designed to prevent political interference and ensure respect for the rule of law. That's in Vanguard newspaper this morning. Also, Nigeria needs no fish importation. Fish farmers are the ones making that statement. It's been captured by the Vanguard newspaper. Fish farmers under the auspices of Fisheries Cooperative Federation of Nigeria, FCFN, at the weekend said Nigeria needs no fish importation because they have all it takes to meet the fish demand in the country. This was stated This was stated by the national president, Anthony Asagaye, in an interview with Vanguard in Abuja while reacting to recent statement by the governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Godwin Emefiele. Emefiele had said $1.2 billion worth of fish is being imported annually into the country, while current fish production stands at 0.8 million metric tons, with a deficit of 1.9 million metric tons. And Nigeria's demand for the commodity is at 2.7 million metric tons annually. According to Ashage, the fisheries industry in the country is robust and has the potential to feed the nation, and at the same time enough to export as well. He explained production has been plagued and stunted by lack of political interest to tap and unlock the massive prospects and potentials that have remained fallow over the years. He says we do not need fish importation. That's also in the Vanguard. And the last story we can take from the Vanguard newspaper. Insecurity. The South exported banditry, kidnapping, armed robbery to the North. Sani, an ACF scribe, said, you'll find that in the Vanguard. Secretary General of the Iowa Consultative Forum, Anthony Sani, in this interview speaks on the state of the nation, saying the North is not afraid of Nigeria breaking up but prefers a strong, united country. According to him, those who accuse President Muhammadu Buhari of lack of performance are not being truthful, because if Nigerians had adjudged him as a failure in the first term, they wouldn't have voted for him in the second term. Let's start with the issue of security, on which many Nigerian state government has not done much, because kidnapping and banditry have continued to fester across the country despite the measures taken by the authorities. Where do you stand? And he said for proper assessment of efforts of governments, it's important to do fact checking on what was inherited and what obtains now. There was a time when people feared to gather in churches, in markets, and in other ceremonies out of fear of attacks, which transcended northern states and the FCT. As a result, sense of helplessness and hopelessness overwhelmed the people, including residents of FCT. The security challenges were so widespread that the United States made a forecast that Nigeria was at a tipping point and it will fall off the cliff in 2015. He also went on to talk about state police not being feasible and Nigerians not ripe yet. Well, there's so much he said. We'll probably look at that when we come back. But the caption there remains: insecurity. The South exported banditry, kidnapping, armed robbery to the North. Sani, ACF scribe, said. We'll come back after the news updates. Just stay with us. 57 minutes after 8, you're listening to Today 95.1 FM. I've got Lisa here. Lisa, good morning. Good to have you.
Yeah, good morning and happy new week to everyone. Yes. And the long-awaited event sponsored by Odibola Properties is almost here. So it's countdown to the event, because the event is tomorrow, the 1st of October 2019, holding at the NTA tomorrow. And in the spirit of the independence and in the spirit of the sponsorship, Odibola Properties, like I said, were giving out these beautiful packages to subscribers who would either come to the office today or meet us at our stand tomorrow during the fun fair. And tomorrow, Akas Baba 2 will be there live. I will be there too. Joy Hosfor will be there too. So you can ask as many questions as you want. And we're talking about investment, real estate investment. And the packages is that we have a beautiful discount on 3 of our layouts. Yes, so Odibola has that discount. Skyview Layout Phase 2, which is located at Omagwa. And as I speak to you, they are tying the road straight down to the phase 1 of the property, straight down to the property. It's beautiful. You need to come and check this out. And like I said, inspections are always Wednesdays and Saturdays, 10 a.m. We'll be leaving. Now, also, there's a discount on our Treasureville layout. You find that at off Igritali School Road, which is actually for 800,000 naira, but there's a beautiful discount on it. And also, thirdly, you'll find also another discount on our Quiet Heaven Layout Phase 2, which goes for the 1.5 million naira. Now, if you want to find out about this discount, if you want to subscribe, these properties are beautiful. The Quiet Heaven Layout Phase 2 is just immediately after the new International Airport wing. Yes, all the roads have been opened up. We've done the electric poles, we've done the stuff for the transformer, and the major road, it's going to be tarred by Odebola Properties, which we've also started, and it's also going to have perimeter fencing, which we've also started. So these are beautiful investment properties where you need to come and invest your money, and you'll be sure, like in the next 2, 3, 4 years or whatever, whether you want to resell or you want to develop on it, you would have your money. Why not invest? They say don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait, so that you also will be growing rich in your sleep like other landlords. Now, if you want to subscribe to this package, you could give us a call. Yes, that's me on 070 6264 1169. There are no extra charges, yes, to any of the properties you decide to invest. Even if you want the luxurious property where you want to invest in our estate, where it's a one-stop shop, you have your clubhouse in there, you have a school like a crèche and a nursery, primary. Yes, that's up for grabs too, in case you would also want to make that investment. Where you also have the recreational center, in case you want to have a meeting, a dedication. You don't have to go outside looking for a hall. You can do that in the comfort of your residence. Yes, fully secured with the CCTV cameras and the street lights and a well-planned estate. Yes, secured also. You can also give us a call. That's also beautiful, just at Obirikore there. We've got different ones. Even if you want to invest in our property in the new GRA also, that's the luxurious property too. So whichever one you think you fall into, whether the luxurious property or the investment plot, you can give us a call. Yes, all those people you see now selling in the GRA, Stadium Road, Abacha Road, and all those areas, they didn't buy it at those wholesome prices now. So you could be that person who buys in an area where it's fast developing, and you could be reselling tomorrow. These places are secured, so you can do business with Odebola Properties and go to sleep. Our office is at Inyaweli in Sirim Layout, off Tombia Extension GRA Phase 3. It's not far from Mandela Car Wash and not far also from Liverpool Hotel. So give me a call. Yes, that's Lisa on 070 6264 1169, or you text I'm interested. You want to come to the office and get the discount, or you want to come to the NTA Fun Fair, Family Fun Fair tomorrow and get the huge discount. Just give me a call on 070 6264 1169.
So much, Lisa.
Thank
See
you.
you tomorrow at the NTA Fun Fair.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, then. Stay on the dial. Coming up is the news update.
Every hour, when the big stories break, depend on our 24-hour news team to bring you the latest. Today, 95.1 FM.
Today, 95.1 FM. Port Harcourt.
And that no one person should be deprived of his liberty without a valid court order. 19 pregnant young women and 4 children have been rescued by officers of the Lagos State Police Command during raids on the 4 baby factories in the state. The prime suspect of the baby factory, identified as Madam Oluchi, was said to have absconded, while 2 of the suspects, Happiness Ukwoma and Sherifat Ipeya, were arrested. Police Public Relations Officer in Lagos, Bala Elkanah, in a statement said that a manhunt has been launched for Oluchi, adding that the suspects were operating as nurses at the baby factories despite not having formal medical training. Elkanah stated that Oluchi and her accomplices usually tricked their victims from different states of the Federation with promises of employment opportunities in Lagos, but abduct them for the purpose of getting them pregnant and selling their babies. Nigerians have been advised to keep hope alive as the country marks its 59th independence. Some respondents who spoke on the celebration of this year's Independence Day celebration said there is need for the government at all levels to invest heavily in education, while others want the federal government to address issues raised by different groups in the country. They told correspondent Victor Ziama that different sectors of the Nigerian economy desire reforms that meet current reality. Also speaking, chairman of Ikwe local government area, Samuel Wanasike, said Nigeria will not experience true federalism until the federal government surrenders most of its powers to state and local councils. While Senator Magnus Abe said though more needs to be done, Nigeria has grown as a country. And on to the foreign scene, no fewer than 100 people have died due to flooding caused by heavy rains in the Indian states of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Emergency agencies say railway traffic, vehicular movement, healthcare services, schools, and power supply have been disrupted in both states. At Uttar Pradesh, government reports that 93 people have died since. The BBC reports that people are navigating the main roads, which are dotted with abandoned and partially submerged vehicles, by boat. And that wraps the news update here on Today 95.1 FM. Thank you for listening. Have a good morning.
Are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people. Radio has never been this good. Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
Who is Result Investment Nigeria Limited? Result Investment Nigeria Limited is a finance firm that offers services related to the capital market. Result Investment Nigeria Limited do business with two categories of clients. We have the trader and we have the investor. In Result Investment Nigeria Limited has been delivering 10% profit monthly for every client who has invested with his or her money on the trading floor of the capital market for the past 3 years in Port Harcourt. With a minimum capital of 300,000 naira and a maximum capital of 100 million naira, you can comfortably earn your 10% monthly of your capital with us. For more enquiries, contact Result Investment Nigeria Limited at number 10 NTO Road, Rumukuta Checkpoint Junction, Port Harcourt, or call us right now on 090-3652-7708, 090-3652-7708, or visit our website at www.resultinvestmentnigerialimited.com. Result Investment Nigeria Limited. Choose Result Investment. Choose financial freedom.
Hooray! Result Investments Nigeria Limited is 3. Yes, 3 in Port Harcourt. What to expect from us? A launching of new products. Roads to 2020. What Result Investments Nigeria Limited will be doing in the year 2020. Setting up offices internationally in Dubai, London, and Ghana. Launching of mobile app for all Result Investments Nigeria Limited investors. And the raffle draw of a car for one lucky investor. Wow. To be part of this event, register online or pick up your VIP tickets at our office at number 10 NTA Road, Rumokuta, Port Harcourt. Event venue, Atrium Event Center, Stadium Road, Rumomasi, Port Harcourt. Date is 1st of October 2019. Green carpet starts 1 p.m. Main events 2 p.m. Choose financial freedom. Choose Result Investments Nigeria Limited.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
Today is here. Yesterday is gone and unrecoverable. Tomorrow, you don't know what it holds, right? You have today. Yes, you heard me. You have today. The indisputable truth is that today is pregnant with both good and bad. You have freely been given today as a gift to see what you will make out of it. Permit me to be positive. Permit me to sideline the negative and magnify the good. Permit me to espouse on today. Today is great. Today is wonderful. Today is targetable and targets can be achieved. Today is domineering and you can be dominant. Today is a conqueror and goals can be conquered. Today is challenging and you can challenge yourself for the better. Today is cheerful. You can choose to be happy. Just in case you're sulking, saddened and feeling sorry for yourself. Enough of the wallow in self-pity. You have today. I mean today. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step. Take that step today. Opportunities are everywhere. Just be sensitive. Build on yourself and get ready for the opportunity. Be the best you can be today, because I see the sun smiling on you. This message is powered by Today
95.1 FM.
Voice of the people.
Port Harcourt, are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
Opinion poll on today's quest.
More than 3 over 4 of the loots we are talking about in this country today were loots within the 16 years.
Here is a great opportunity to sample all our opinions on the issues raised.
in Port Harcourt says the PDP is trying to divert our attention because Nigerian funds was looted by the people. Melody in Uniport says Madam Jonah is yet to come in terms of the fact that her tenure has expired. Annie, please tell him that investigation is not what you make public until the final stage.
Send your opinion to us on Facebook,
www.facebook.com/Today95.1 FM.
or on Twitter @TodayFM951. You can also sample your opinions with us on WhatsApp or on our SMS portal using the numbers 070-1933-9962. It's 12 minutes after 9. You're listening to Today 95.1 FM, and it's good to have you back. Now, we did say we'll talk a little on some of the stories that we ran through real quickly then, as we move on to opinion poll. And the one we stopped at, particularly the South exported banditry, kidnapping, armed robbery to the North. Sani, ACF scribe there speaking. And he said here that for banditry, kidnapping, and rustling to give way, the government must enlist the support of citizens, not only in the use of military might, but also of the citizens who should exercise patience and help government overcome the challenges. The effort of government alone against the insecurity posed by insurgents, bandits, cattle rustlers, herders, and farmers' conflicts, militant activism, cultism, ritual killings, and even baby factories are not enough. One way citizens can support government is through the community policing and to avoid giving ethnic and religious coloration to purely criminal activities, lest such coloration provide criminals with platform to hide and perpetrate crimes, knowing it is not possible to prosecute ethnicity and religion. The fight against corruption should not be left to the federal government alone. To states and local governments and citizens must join to fight against corruption and stigmatize or stigma in such a way as to discourage the practice of cash for peerage in our national life. Those arraigned for corruption should defend themselves instead of insisting that all corrupt people must be arraigned at the same time. I say so because the fight against corruption is work in progress that is expected to outlive the current regime. Negotiating with bandits and kidnappers is ongoing in Katsina after the exercise proved successful in Zamfara. But critics say this is immoral. What does the ACF think? And he says, I'm not the official spokesperson for ACF, which has a spokesperson. I only compliment his efforts. Most of your questions should be directed to the National Publicity Secretary, whose job it is to address your concerns, please. As far as I'm concerned, negotiations to save lives is not out of place. You can recall that the Israeli government released 1,000 members of Hamas held in custody in exchange for the release of one Israeli soldier held captive by Hamas in 2006. Also in 2014, then President Obama negotiated the release of one American soldier held captive by the Taliban in exchange for 5 Taliban soldiers held in America in Guantanamo Bay. But note why the UN often invites warring parties to Geneva for peace talks. The aim is to avoid further killings in wars and not because the UN approves killings in wars. That is why there is an adage that says if you kill one person, you could be charged for murder. If you kill 10 persons, you could be examined for insanity. If you kill 1,000 people, you could be invited for peace talks in Geneva. Not because the world likes your killings, but because the world wants to stop further killings. That's the way I see the spirit of negotiation by the governors of Katsina and Zamfara states. To wit, stop further killings in their states by bandits. So those who use Daniel's theory of rewarding bad behaviors and attacks the two governors should have a realistic appreciation of the situation.
The question of one monolithic North has been an issue as the Middle Belt says they're not part of the North. Are they right? And he says that the Middle Belt was more or less the response to the willing commission that brought about the Midwestern region. J.S. Tucker wanted Middle Belt region reminiscent of the Midwestern region. Now that states have been created to allay the fear of the minorities of domination by the majority in the country, it stands to reason to submit that the agitation of the Middle Belt Forum is rooted in what no longer exists. If you consider Benue State, where the Tiv have been in power since 1999 to the chagrin of the Idomas, if you consider what happens in Kogi State, where the Igala had held sway against other minorities, if you consider Borno State, where the Kanuri will not allow Southern Borno to produce the governor, or you consider Plateau, where Muslims cannot produce a deputy governor and get appointed as VC of Unijos and Juth, and compare, say, with what happens in Kaduna and Kebbi states where the House of Fulani holds sway against other ethnic nationalities, then you can hardly avoid the conclusion that the challenges of marginalization is not an exclusive preserve of the big three. All groups in Nigeria abuse their advantages. Furthermore, the chairman of the Northern States Governors Forum is from Plateau State and a non-Muslim. Generals Gowon, Babangida, and Abubakar, who are among the patrons of the ACF, are from the North Central geopolitical zone. The 2023 presidency is already generating controversy, even if it is several years away. Zoning is especially a contentious issue as the South fears power may go back to the North. I'm particularly looking for where he says the South exported banditry to the North. I haven't read it. No, I haven't. I don't know what you heard though. I haven't read it. Maybe you are interpreting something else with your ears. The banning of nomads in favor of sedentary practice. At 59, many Southerners believe Northerners are slowing the country down. How do you respond? And he said, how is the North slowing them down? Does the North determine how state governments are run? Does the federal government under President Buhari determine the usage of allocations to their states? It may be fact of history that education arrived in the South a century earlier than when it reached the North amid stiff resistance by perhaps Islam, a resistance which Boko Haram sect still echoes. But that has not affected the South in any way. A man from the South once accused the North of killing agriculture because of oil, when I told him that Malaysia did not collect the palm oil seedlings from the North, yet Southerners are the major importers of palm oil from Malaysia. How has the North fared in 59 years, given the thinking that Northern leaders have ruled for the most part? And he says, but the South has ruled for more years under the nascent democracy. The military junta who ruled did not do so on behalf of the North. And if we compare the socio-economic status of the North by the way of number of universities, schools, roads, etc., with what obtains today, however, the pace, majority of northern countries, count their blessings one by one. The only regret